Okay, so as you've all no doubt heard, yesterday in Colorado there was a horrific mass shooting at the midnight premiere of Batman: The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I could go on about how this is a tragedy, but really what I wanted to say was kind of the psychological profile of our guy, James Holmes. Now, the thing of it is, people are saying he's mentally ill, people are saying he's evil. Really? I think he's just a kid who had a lot of pressure on him, and he snapped. That happens. From all accounts, he was a shy kid, but brilliant. I mean, he was going to school for he was going to get his PhD in neuroscience. And he'd already graduated, but he couldn't find any jobs in the field. That puts more pressure on him. More pressure, and finally, he snaps. And what he does is, I'm betting he probably contemplated killing himself. He probably even tried to kill himself. But then he realized, if I do this, my life is meaningless. So, I'm going to do something big. And I'm also sure that he wanted suicide by cop. He wanted the cops to kill him, so he didn't have to do it himself. So what he does is he plans this out. And when you look at what he was wearing riot gear, which shows on a subconscious level, he didn't want to die. He kind of wanted to be killed by the cops, but he didn't want to die by the cops at a subconscious level. And you can tell he wanted to die. He didn't intend to come back because he booby-trapped his house. If he'd been planning to come back, he wouldn't have done that. Now, so he gets to the theater. He wedges the emergency door open as he leaves, comes back in, full outfit, throws his smoke canisters, which is another level of his psychosis. Well, not psychosis, but psychological profile. Those gas canisters actually had two purposes that I'm going to get into. One, they made it so he couldn't see his victims. So he doesn't know who he killed. He was shooting blindly through a gas cloud, through smoke. He didn't see any of the people he killed. Which shows me he's not completely, he's just very mental. He snapped, is what I'm saying. And the second thing is, that smoke cloud probably saved a lot of people's lives, because he couldn't see who he was shooting. He just ended up shooting, blindly into the aisles. I mean, yes, he was running up and down the aisles, but if it's a dark theater as it is, you add in the distortion from the gas. He's wearing a gas mask and an acrylic plate. That's going to distort his vision even further. I don't think he saw any of the people he killed. And the people who got away was just a few, the people who did get shot, they might have gotten hit worse had he been able to see them. And as of now, as it stands, 12 people have been killed. I think there's a few more in critical condition, and I'm not really sure if they're going to make it. They haven't really said anything. But what it sounds like to me is if he hadn't thrown that smoke canister, I think our casualty count would be a lot higher. Because when you compare it to the 12 dead, to the amount of heat he brought in there, he had an assault rifle, a 12-gauge shotgun, a Glock, and he had another gun out in the car. I can't remember if it was just a regular rifle or another pistol. I haven't really read too much up on it. But, and, the drums he had, the police chief said he could probably have put out, 40 to 60 shots in a minute with that sort of drum. It was like a 100-round drum or something on his assault rifle. Yeah. So he went in there and he started shooting wildly. That's how he actually ended up hurting people in the next theater over. It went through the walls and into them. And then, of course, they get out of the theater, and I think they locked him in there. And then he went out and he sat by his car, and then the cops came and he surrendered, which shows he lost his fucking nerve. In the end of it, instead of doing what he wanted, what he set out to do, I am convinced he set out there to get killed by the cops. He wanted suicide by cop. But in the end, he loses his nerve because he wants to live more than he wanted the people in that theater to live. So I'm not saying he's evil. I'm just saying he's definitely the kind of guy who snaps. There's so much pressure for people who are called brilliant to succeed, and when they can't succeed, it grinds on them. And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying, this is my take on his psychological profile at the moment from what I've read. As he was just a kid that, too much pressure. He snapped. Nothing like that guy who shot up there that store in Arizona and hit the congresswoman. Now that guy's fucking nuts. That's fucking nuts for you. But this guy, he knew what he was doing. He planned this. I think he wanted to get killed by the cops and then lost his fucking nerve. Hopefully he'll rectify the situation soon in lockup, because you can still kill yourself in lockup. You know, you may not be able to slit your wrist, but you can still gnaw into him like this. Yeah, buddy, just gnaw at your arms until you hit a major vein. That's all I'm gonna say.